You see how I look at him? He might be missing something, and now just c5. Boom. And now he blundered. You see that he missed this. Welcome to the 4th round of the Rapid tournament in Italy. We are playing the guy who is actually the first seed on the tournament. He's almost 2500. I hope he will grab the Grandmaster title very soon. And we have the same names. That's a very interesting fact. So he started with a move knight f3. I replied knight f6. He went for c4. I went e6. He went for knight c3. I went for d5. So I'm playing this standard setup. And now e3. So he played pretty much the same opening as the guy from the 2nd round, if you remember. Bishop d6, and now he went for b3. So at this point, I'm going knight c6, tricky move, and he played bishop e2. I castled. And now, pretty much whatever he does here, I'm looking forward to, take on c4 and then push e5, followed by e4 if he allows me that. So now he has option to go for d4. Also here, I think there is the move knight b5. He played d4. And now, once you make this setup with this knight on c6, your intentions are always clear. You want to go for e5. And that's very clear. So I took on c4. However he retakes, we are just pushing e5. And that's the whole point of this setup. I can tell you honestly that this can become really sharp since he didn't castle and didn't develop the bishop. So if the e line gets open, our rook will have a lot of stuff to do there, followed by some bishop g4. It's actually very scary for white. He went for bishop e2. And now at this point, I can go rook e8 and create some threats on the e line. But as I did in the game, I think it's very simple just to, take this guy on d4. This gives me just clear intentions. Now the e line gets open, he retake back with pawn. So he wants to keep this, pawn chain. Beautiful. The really big problem for me in this game is that I spend unnecessarily a lot of time on the moves that I shouldn't, and that's why I got later in the time scramble. I got a little bit nervous because I like my position and I just don't want to make some silly mistakes. I went for bishop g4, pin this knight. So now there is a simple tactic here. He has to castle now. That's the best move here for white. But the point is, after castles, we can simply take the knight, and after bishop takes, we can sacrifice the knight on d4. And when the queen retakes, there is this bishop takes h2 tactic. And this is very known, well-known motive that exists in the positions where there is a lot of pressure in the middle. And these hanging pawns look strong, but they're actually poor. So he castled. Now I have option of taking, which looks very clear. And I have option of, maybe improving firstly my position with this move rook e8. I'm not really scared of any of these pawn pushes. So if I go rook e8, if you go something like c5, I'll just bring my bishop back and then focus on this pawn. So I decided to take. He took back with his bishop. And if I don't take now this pawn, my position is bad because I just unnecessarily gave up the bishop there. So I have to take. I'm just thinking a little bit to not blunder something. So I take on d4. He also calculated the line. He went for bishop takes b7, but now it's weird because he's getting along the line here with his bishops, and this is not good for him when it comes to some tactics. So rook b8, and he went for knight f4. So this is actually a mistake. It's not a good move. And I didn't expect from him that he will play that so quick. And I feel this is wrong. Putting the knight on, on the edge of the board is generally not good. Now just time and moment how I'm gonna proceed with this position. I have to calculate and find some, options. I have option of going c5. This is something my opponent told me after the game. I didn't see that move. I was thinking that there might be something better. I was also calculating some sacrifices on h2, but this simply doesn't work. But c5 is actually a very nice move because after c5 he has to retreat his bishop back to f3. And now here we can play many moves, like there is queen a5. We can also go bishop e5. We are threatening knight takes f3 and then bishop takes b2. So pawn on c5 is not really hanging. If he takes our knight here, then look at just this formation and this bad knight again back on a4, which is definitely not good piece. We are not really down anything and our opponent, but our pieces are just telling that black is amazing here, like queen a5, then rook d8, and open b line, open d line for our pieces. The only problem is this knight on f6, but he is actually good defender, controlling all these light squares on the board. So c5 is an amazing move, and he also can't take on d4 because after we take back, queen takes, still not possible because of this. And if he now retreats the bishop, he also gave up, you know, the d line and make our pawn pass pawn. Like if we go now something like queen a5 and threatening something like rook to b4, we're about to win some material. Also queen takes d4 is not possible because at least we got this, but later on even the knight on a4 is definitely hanging piece. So at this point I'm thinking now, as you see, I'm burning a lot of time. Knight e4 is definitely not a great move, and I'm just thinking and thinking. There's many moves that I can play. I can even just go rook e8 and completely avoid any complications. I can also just take this bishop, which is, you know, something I did in the game. I just took it, and he simply took with a knight, with a bishop on d4. I was expecting, to be honest, that he will take back with queen, but if he takes back with queen, there is this amazing move rook b4, and now knight is hanging, plus later on bishop is hanging. The very big thing now is if he goes something like a3, we just take the knight. If he protects this guy on a4, I thought that I have some options of, you know, sacrificing on b2, which also looks attractive, but I can just simply take the pawn on c4, which is enough, and now we are just clear pawn up and we are doing much better. So he took back here with bishop, and now I'm again burning so much time. You can see that I'm having 6 minutes and my opponent even barely spent time under 9:30. So, and guys, this is wrong. Like, okay, to be honest, I got nervous because I'm 3 out of 3. I'm having much better position. I feel that I have practically better position here. Now my pieces are just well coordinated. And look at the clock. I'm 3 minutes. I'm under 4 minutes, and my opponent is having time advantage. So what he needs to do is just to complicate more. I played rook before, and he just dropped the knight back to b2. Very quick. And I was again surprised that he didn't even think about what could happen next. So now again, I'm spending some time of calculating what to do next. Should I bring my rook out to the game with rook e8? Should I play some prophylaxis with h6? Do I have some ideas of c5 now? So now I want to play c5, but I can't go c5 because there is move bishop c3. So to stop bishop c3, I decided to go knight e4. And now I'm threatening the move c5 because knight is covering here. And also there is some ideas of, you know, queen h4, and if he goes g3, I can sacrifice maybe, and at least I could have maybe some ideas of perpetual check. To not mention that this knight is hanging in a lot of scenarios. He can go easily bishop e3. Because, you know, bishop e3 is just losing the knight, so he needs to deal with that. If he goes knight e3 here, which looks possible, but there is rook takes c4 simply. Now bishop is hanging, then again some ideas of bishop takes h2. We are clearly pawn up. Black is much better here. So after knight e4, my opponent start thinking what to do. He's also having hard time defending here. Can't figure out what is the best move. Knight on b2, knight on b7, knight on g2, knight on g7. In these open positions are never good piece. Like my opponent went with a knight roller coaster. Like he went knight c3, then he went knight f4, then now he went knight b2. He playing so many moves with a knight, and now he will later bring this here. So he played rook c1, and rook c1 is another mistake. So you see from his, you know, body language that he's not satisfied with the position at all. Rook c5, defending the pawn on c4 so he can finally develop the knight. It's a very logical move, but he missed something. You can pause the video and try to find the move. It's not hard to find. And now I'm actually, as you see from my reaction, finding that move, but again, I'm burning so much time. You see how I look at him? That he might be missing something, and now just c5. Boom. That's a great move. And now he blundered. You see that he missed this. And he told me after the game that he completely forgot about c5. But he also told me that c5, as you see in the earlier scenario, like if you go a couple of moves back after knight f4, he told me that c5 here exists and it's actually the best move. That's what he recommended me after the game. But c5 here is even much stronger. So definitely now, like, is much better. The point is, if you go back on e3, we'll just take the knight. So he can't do that. He does just simply piece down. So he found bishop takes g7. That's pretty much the only thing that could save him, because after king takes g7, that's the only move. Now he has this comeback with knight e3. And the whole point is, if I move my rook down somewhere, like rook b7 or rook b8, I'm losing the advantage because queen g4 is coming with check. And if you go knight g5 here, there's just simply f4 or h4, and then he's winning the knight back and my king is plus open. This is not good position for me. So after king takes g7 and knight d3 here, we have to find some option. And f5 is a really good looking move because it's controlling the g4, so queen doesn't have counterplay. Also protecting my knight. We are just simply piece up. He will take on b4, we'll take back, he'll push c5, and now we can simply take that pawn, for example. But I play the move knight f6, and knight f6 is a little bit passive. It's a dubious decision by me. But on the other side looks natural because it's controlling the g4 square, but it's passive. And from this point in the game, I start being very passive. He took my rook, I took back, and I'm having still better position than my opponent, definitely. But it's hard to convert this, especially against very strong player, almost 2500. He played c5, he targeted my bishop. Now I'm thinking where to put my bishop. The most logical square is just bishop c7. Like blocking this pawn, offering the queen trade. I can also keep the queens on the board. There is no need to trade the queens. If he takes my queen, I'll take back with my rook. But instead I went for bishop f4, which is a mistake. Because now rook c4, I completely missed that move. And now actually he equalized again. He has enough compensation for these two minor pieces because my pieces are really passive. And now I'm in trouble. I'm in practical trouble. Look at on my clock. I'm almost under the minute. I have to find some very fast moves now. The problem is, for me here, can't find the correct idea to maintain the endgame. Under the 40 seconds. That's not good. That's definitely not good time management. I decide to trade queens. He take back with rook. As you see now, white is better. This is good position. I don't have time for a5. It's double attack. I don't have tricks with back rank issue because the rook on d1 is defending everything. I just brought the bishop back to c7. He took on b4. And that's the big problem now. Because this pawn is very quick, there is rook b7 threat. And I should keep the rooks on the board, like play rook c8 or something, but I played rook b8, which is offering the rook trade, and this is definitely wrong. Because after rook b8, you see he's already seeing that. He can just simply take, I take back. And now my knight and my king are too far away from this pawn. If I'm closer enough, or if I have at least better coordination already with my bishop on c7, then I might be able to control this pawn. But he has easy move rook b1. He found that very quick, also putting the pressure on my clock. I have to find only moves now, but the problem is the game is already over. It's just a matter of time when I'm gonna resign this. Maybe there is still some hope if I can provide bishop c7 and knight e5 or knight e8. I played bishop c7, trying to, control my position. He just pushed c6 now, which is not the best move. The better one was rook b7 to make double attack on pawn and rook, on pawn and bishop. I played bishop e5. He went for rook b7, I went for knight e8. And he just played rook e7, which is now winning, and I resigned the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.